Jigar Shah, formerly of the Department of Energy's Loan Programs Office, and now with Multiplier. Welcome, Jigar.
Hello.
Also a podcaster.
Fellow podcaster, welcome to the podcast stage.
And I wear state flags.
What state is this?
This is Maryland. What are you talking about?
I love that.
I actually didn't know that.
Didn't catch that.
Well, you know, most states actually have crappy flags where they just have their seal on it.
It's true. I'm from South Carolina, not a crappy flag. So
no, that's a good flag.
Very good flag.
Yeah.
Well, we love to fly our flag of energy independence here, Jigar.
Good transition, Nico. Good transition.
So, Jigar, when Nico and I were planning this out, we were talking about bringing you on, and I was like, look, I just have one question for Jigar, and he's the only person I can really trust to answer this in a straightforward way, which is we saw the Trump tax bill has stripped the industry of plenty of incentives. It was more of a hatchet than a scalpel. And I wanted to ask you, like, WTF? How did we get here?
Well, I think it's good to have that experience of actually admitting to yourself that we got our ass kicked, right? I mean, one of the big challenges I have is that people are not admitting it. They're sort of saying, oh, we got 90% of it back or whatever else. No, we didn't. We got our ass completely kicked.
Yeah.
Right? So let's just start there. Now we sort of say, why did we get our ass kicked, right? And I think the reason we got, in that situation is that people don't know who we are.
Yeah.
Like, we are just so obsessed with staying under the radar screen. Right? Everyone's like, well, if we make this technical tweak at FERC, and we make this technical tweak at whatever else, then we'll be fine. No, we're not fine. And right now, clearly the Eye of Sauron is on us. It sort of sees us, right? And so when that happens, you have to actually invest in political infrastructure, right? That means getting to know the mayor of your town, getting to know the city council, getting to know all of the decision makers around the table. And what does it mean to not have political power, right? In the state of New Jersey, we just passed a law that actually streamlines all the permitting in the state to match Florida and Texas so we can get our costs of residential solar down.
Yeah.
The governor of New Jersey is afraid to sign it because it might make one bureaucrat in New Jersey upset that he's losing political power over, being able to twist our arm in the solar industry. Clearly, the solar industry in New Jersey has no power. Right? And so part of what I want people to recognize is we got our ass kicked, and now we need to invest in political power in the same way that we invest in technical, advocacy, all the other stuff that we do.
Yeah. You wrote a great piece in Trellis recently that I've quoted a lot, I feel like, in private conversations, because very few people are, as we've talked about, saying what we need to say out loud. And one of the things is that survival requires unity, speed, and treating this thing we call political power like it's essential infrastructure. If I'm sitting in the driver's seat, I'm the CEO of a developer or even an installer here in America, what does that look like for me over the next 12 months? How do I reclaim that power?
Well, you have to first of all realize who has power and how does power work, right? Remember, most of these people are subjecting themselves to elections every 2 years or every 4 years, right? And so they want to get reelected. Right? Now, if we piss off people who are in that coalition such that they can't get, the support that they want from that group, well, then maybe they'll just say no to spite us. That is where the unions sit, right? We're we want highly trained workers. We don't want them to unionize. Got it. When that happens and the unions are the people who actually show up, when, when we were worried about how the votes were going to be counted in Detroit, it wasn't a bunch of environmentalists who circled the voting center. It was the UAW.
Right.
Right. Now it's shocking to me. They're oh, well, why did President Biden care so much about unions? Well, because they circled the damn thing.
Yeah.
Right. And so so then the question becomes should we be using more union labor? Right. What do we get for that if we do that, right?
Yeah.
Look, I'm not telling people how to run their companies, but I am saying that if you want some of the chaos to come down and you want some of the political power to go up, then you've got to be more thoughtful. That is a muscle you have to practice and you have to train, right?
Indeed.
And there's no right answer. One group's going to go this way, one group's going to go that way. But just avoiding the conversation altogether and being I would just like to make sure that no one is knows that I exist.
Yeah.
No.
Well, it's like
you exist, and people like have you in their sights right now.
Yeah. Well, I think people want to succeed on merit.
Yeah.
And they want their technology.
Oh, that's so cute.
I know, isn't it? And that got us pretty far, but I don't think it's going to get us. It's not the strategy for the next stage of the game.
Yeah.
And there's definitely a political game that's being played against us. And I think we get a chance to stand up and play that game. Well, just to play it for starters, and then to be better at it. How can we, you talked about political infrastructure. What does that really mean for companies who are here at the show, spending a lot of money exhibiting, having meetings? Where should they be investing their time and effort and resources to support this political infrastructure?
Yeah. I mean, well, look, I think that when you look at the Solar Energy Association, right? Many folks here are not members. Like, that's the $400 you want to save. I got it. But like, in general, right, they only have so much budget, right? I don't know what their budget is this year, but let's call it like $25 million, right? And so the entire industry is investing hundreds of billions of dollars into solar, battery storage, right? Other stuff. We probably have an influence budget nationwide of $150 million if you count CALSA and like all the local groups and this group and that group and whatever else, right? The oil and gas industry spend $4 billion a year and they invest less CapEx than we do.
Yeah.
Right? And so one part of it's money. I'm not going to get away from that. Like everyone is managing a line on a spreadsheet and saying, well, if I eliminate this line, I can get an extra penny a watt. But what's in that line is not just your SIA membership. It's also you investing in the July 4th celebration in the town near where your community solar project is. Are you a sponsor of that celebration? No, because after the project is built, you don't go back to that town. That sucks. And those people feel it, right? So invest in those communities, invest in those towns, make sure that they feel the love for 25 years, right? But the other piece of this is also making sure that you're going on the offense, right? We're allowing people to say that you can actually power all the data centers in Texas with natural gas, right? Are you kidding me? Right? We're building LNG export terminals. You're going to take all the Permian gas, you're going to stick it in LNG export terminals, you're going to increase that, and you're going to what? Build 500 gigawatts of new natural gas power plants. We can't find the turbines, got it, but whatever. And you're going to do all that stuff. No. And if you did try, it would double natural gas prices in Texas, right? Do people want doubling natural gas prices? But we don't talk about that. Like the fact that solar and battery storage has saved the state of Texas over and over and over again, right? We're not bragging about it. We're sort of like, well, we just come to work and do our job with pride. Yeah.
You got Jigar wound up now.
You got to brag about it a little bit.
I figured that asset management was a category that had been pretty commodified at this point. Yet the next guest has, in about a year of having their product in the publicly available, has brought on about a gigawatt of projects. Ethan Ehlers is Director of Business Development for NextWave Energy Monitoring and has been protecting our assets since the last time we were scrambling.
You always got to cover your assets.
Since the last time we were scrambling to meet ITC deadlines. Good to see you, Ethan. Welcome.
Good to see you too, Nico. Thanks for having me.
Too often, I feel like monitoring at this point, I mean, you've been in the game for a long time with monitoring. I feel like it's just a check the box kind of product. What's the hidden cost for folks that have that mindset, especially developers and owners?
Yeah, that's a great question, Nico. And there's a number of hidden costs. First and foremost is complexity on both the software side and the hardware side. If you have overly complex hardware, you have multiple points of failure above and beyond your underlying system. Those points of failure can cause you to have to roll trucks out to the site and spend money that you shouldn't have to spend otherwise. Similarly, on the software side, if you have overly complex software, your people are going to struggle to be able to use it to gain the useful insights they need in order to operate your assets properly. Beyond that, there's poor customer support. Things go wrong. You always need support. And if you can't get that support in a timely fashion, if you can't get those fixes done completely, that's going to cost you time and that's going to cost you money. There's a whole host of other soft costs out there as well. And I'd be more than happy to chat with people as they come by the booth.
Nice.
And tackling those soft costs is so important. Now, you also... Oh, that's not right. There we go. Now, when portfolios grow, data grows with them. So my question for you is, what's the hardest part of turning all of that data into real decisions? The analysis piece.
Yeah. Analysis paralysis, right? You have all this overabundance of data. Too much data can actually cause you to freeze up and not be able to make a decision, not be able to take action. Excuse me. So the hardest part is really being able to distill that data down into actionable insight. Find the right data points that you need, get the alerts that you need in the time that you need it, not be overwhelmed with every single data point from every single device on every single asset that you own all at once, overloading and overwhelming your people. But rather having a single pane of glass, a dashboard where you can see what's most important, what's most relevant, what's most problematic, and what's working well. So you can hopefully ignore most of that stuff that's working well.
Well, one of the things that I feel like is working well for everyone these days, and as they say, if you're not dabbling in at least AI, then you're already behind. But it seems like AI is everywhere. Where do you actually see it moving the needle with regards to asset management? And what parts do you feel are just hype?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of hype right now, right?
Yeah.
Everybody is diving into AI. We are obviously working on it at NextWave as well. We're taking a little bit more of a slow approach. But I think really the two areas that I see it being most meaningful are predictive maintenance. What's going to fail and when is it going to fail and how is it going to fail? So you can be prepared to take action or take action before that failure occurs. The next most important, I think, is the analytic capabilities. Being able to assess automatically what your biggest issue is, what issue is causing you the most money, causing you to lose the most generation, and being able to easily sift through all of those alerts and alarms, all of that data to be able to take that actionable insight out of that data.
Mm-hmm. Ethan, I know that you have some space set aside in your booth for folks to just come over and vent their frustrations about their technological rage. For those who
we're going to do scream therapy. Is you have scream therapy?
We actually need I feel like that would be healthy if you just had a scream therapy booth. For those who want to come over and get to know you better, and they want to maybe they want to scream into the corner at the NextWave booth, where should they find you?
Well, we are right over in the Venetian, Nico, just over the Sky Bridge. You'll see our big yellow sign.
Yeah.
It says NextWave hanging out of the ceiling, booth 7731. And we don't have a scream booth, but we do have some nice teddy bears if you need a little bit of comfort in the middle of the show.
Some comfort therapy.
All right.
Thank you, Ethan Ehlers. Ethan is the Director of Business Development for NextWave Energy Monitoring. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Nico.
Good to see
Pleasure.
you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Ethan.
Lisa, and who we have up next?
I think we're going to call up Chanel Parson up to the stage right now. She is from SCE, and she's the Director of Clean Energy and Demand Response. And she's helping to lead the way in turning EVs into powerful grid resources. Welcome.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for hiking over. I know you, like others, got stuck at the Sky Bridge because it doesn't open until 10.
Yeah, I had to climb mountains and through the desert to get here, but I made it.
You made it. So Honda just announced a collaboration with SEC. You just announced this collaboration on bidirectional charging. So what is the role that you're playing, and how is this going to benefit your customers?
Yeah, I am very excited about this strategic collaboration with Southern California Edison and American Honda, really to unlock the future of electric transportation. Our companies have the shared objective of helping our customers use their vehicles for more than just mobility devices and to do so much more, right? Really as energy management devices.
Yeah.
And so this strategic collaboration is really going to help our customers use their EV to power their homes during an outage, but also during a blue sky day when the demand on the grid is high. And so customers who participate, they're going to save on their total energy, which is not only their automobile energy costs, but their home energy costs. They're going to fortify their personal energy resiliency. And then by getting those benefits, there's going to be that side benefit of benefiting the grid and making sure that the grid is more reliable, more affordable, and ready to connect new loads for all customers. So SCE, we're streamlining our processes. We're putting in systems and best practices to make sure our customers have the most streamlined and best experience as possible.
Chanel, I'm curious what it takes at the utility level to start to integrate this concept of V2G, VGI. How do you go about it feels like it's the promise that never fully comes to fruition. We've been waiting for the opportunity. We've got these mobile batteries that we're now able to plug in and inject power back into our homes and stabilize the grid at the same time. Can you talk a bit about that process at the utility that you had to go through to onboard this product with Honda?
Yeah, I mean, really, in order to make VGI real and to scale it, which is what we're working hard to do quickly, you need technology that has to align. You need the policy that has to align. You need partnerships, so the collaboration between Honda and SCE to really kind of accelerate this moving forward. And so we have processes and systems that we can adjust to make this smooth for our customers. Honda has a vehicle that, they've announced their Acura RSX that, is going to be that hardware, that technology for customers. We put a bidirectional charger in, and if everybody's moving together, we're going to make this thing happen and as quickly as possible.
Finally, we're going to be able to inject back into the grid, back in the home. Bidirectional is working.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
You heard SoCal Edison on the Vanguard.
Yes. And it makes so much sense because you've got all of these assets that the utility isn't purchasing, but you can utilize them.
Yes. Yeah. And that is something that Southern California Edison is completely focused on unlocking demand flexibility at scale.
Right.
And so when we think about electrification, most of our load in Southern California is from electrification. I know some parts of the country are experiencing heavy data center load, but in Southern California, we're seeing a lot from electrification. The good news is, even though that electrification puts more demand on the energy grid, most of that is flexible demand. Yeah. And so unlocking that demand flexibility, meaning we can leverage that on the grid when it's best for the grid, when there's the most clean energy on the grid, is really what we're working to do, and doing it for all devices. And unlocking VGI is a critical piece for that.
100%.
Well, speaking of busy, we've all been pretty busy trying to handle the inbound tariffs and all the ways that the domestic market has struggled with getting product in from outside the country. Probably no single product category more than the infrastructure and steel required to put all of this solar in place. Gary Kessinger, CEO of Attala Steel, going to talk about the domestic steel and how it is repowering America's renewable future. Gary, it's good to see you.
Yeah, and this is my second RE Plus, as you mentioned. I learned last year, after 6 months in the industry, what a relationship building opportunity it was here.
Indeed.
My sales team had 54 meetings in 2.5 days, and I was exhausted. So
Very impressive.
we're in a better pace this year, but it's good to be here.
Well, I'm glad that you're making time to be here with us. A lot of folks here are, I would say, borderline angry about the scenario that we find ourselves in, pretty much gutting all of the provisions that were meant to uphold the industry from an incentives perspective. With so much uncertainty, what's the clearest guidance that you are giving to developers on domestic content? Which incentives are still in play and how they should play that?
Right now, it's just take a deep breath and continue. We're kind of back to, in my opinion, where we were in 2019, 20, when the market was growing at exponential rates. Our business is booked through the rest of this year, extremely strong. We've got a strong pipeline going into 2026, and we're working with all of our customers to methodically plan out. We were fortunate this past year. We spent a good portion of it expanding our supply line. We brought some new mills online, some new beam suppliers. So, we're in a position to really benefit from it. A year ago, 85% of our sales were domestic requirement. Only 30% of the quotes that we did were domestic requirement. That's flipped on us this year to where we're probably 95% domestic requirement, but 80% of the quotes we're getting in, people are looking for domestic steel. So it's very positive for my customers and us right now.
That's good to hear. And because when you think about the Trump tax bill, there was a lot of new navigation around tariffs and sourcing and scheduling. There's a lot of risk there is what I'm trying to say. And so how are savvy developers protecting themselves against supply chain volatility in this environment?
Right. As I said a minute ago, right now they're partnering with their suppliers. We're planning out well in advance for 2026. Short lead times are kind of going away to where now they're wanting to methodically plan 3 projects in a row sequentially, so they know they've got that supply line. I attended the Steel Manufacturers Summit in Atlanta 2 weeks ago, and it was phenomenal to see all of the top executives from the steel mills give presentations about the investments that they're making, how they're prepared to supply the industry. I walked away, feeling very confident that we're going to all get through this, and they're, doing everything they can to meet the requirements.
Gary, you're going to be in, as you mentioned, a ton of meetings this week. I'm curious, is there one truth about domestic steel that you expect you'll be repeating again and again? Something that folks just still don't feel, you feel like they don't really fully grok about how domestic steel is growing?
I guess for us, a year ago, I would have said that was our strength because we are a vertically integrated manufacturer in Mississippi, centrally located. We have our own rolling mill, so we buy billet primarily. 75% of what we sell, we roll in-house, cut, punch, and galvanize. So it's a strength for us. As long as the billets are available, which they are, it's going to be a very, very positive for our customers. The customers are coming to us, making sure that those supply lines are secure and they're walking away comfortable.
If I'm a developer looking to secure 2, 3, 4 projects of steel, what's in a reasonable timeline now versus what it was a year ago?
Right now, the sooner the better.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got quotes that we're stacking up next year over top of each other, and we're weighting them on likelihood of getting them, and we're trying to communicate with each one of our customers that these months are booking up, so you're going to have to push it out or pull it in.
Yeah.
In the past, it might have been a 12 to 16 week lead time. They would try to drop it in. I would say right now they're looking 3 to 6 months out to make sure they've got capacity booked in for next year.
Well, they should be booking their time with you here at the show. Gary Kessinger is the CEO of Attala Steel. It's so great to have you back on the PowerUp Live stage.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us, Gary. Have a good show. We're live for the first of 3 daily roundups. This is where we talk about how the day has gone. We bring in some thought leaders that are going to talk a little bit about what they're seeing on the show floor and how their technology expertise sort of influences the way they look at the show. I am joined by the lovely Sylvia Martinez, fellow podcaster.
Yes. I'm excited to be here, Nico. Thank you so much.
Congratulations. You know, it's funny. You were not a podcaster when I first had you on SunCast.
No, it was like 2022
22,
or something?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And immediately I recognized the talent and I asked you to join one of the sessions at that year's RE Plus PowerUp Live stage.
Yes.
And now here you are hosting the interchange at WoodMac.
Oh my God, a lot has changed over the past few years. Not only like in the energy industry, but also for myself.
Totally.
Personally, professionally. So I'm really excited to be here.
Indeed. Well, I'm excited to have you here. We've got a great lineup of guests today. You've been interviewing folks all day long in the Pro Studio, which is something that we've added since 2022. TeraHive is sponsoring our Pro Studio. Thank you, TeraHive.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there's anything that you particularly learned or something that was fascinating about the interviews that you did today.
I think something that I have confirmed over the interviews throughout this day is like there is this shift in the industry from, trying to address all projects at different stages of development to focusing on things that are either under construction or that are already operating. So just trying to figure out how to optimize the assets that are already there. And it goes all the way from existing renewable assets and all the way to transmission. How do we make interconnection more efficient? So it's just like trying to figure out how do we make the most out of the things that are already there.
Yeah.
And a bit of a slowdown on early stage development. So all the policy uncertainty has caused to hit the brakes on early stage development. It's not that it has completely stopped. So there's still like some hope there, but there's not as much movement compared to what we have seen when the IRA passed, for example.
Yeah. I think this is my 6th or 7th interview plus 2 there, so 8th or 9th today.
Yeah.
So I don't really have any clear takeaways. I'm just happy to be on our final session of the day. I did want to shout out to the folks that did bring their swag. Reminder that we have our swag roundup each and every day. We're taking in swag like these nice Tygo gloves, and one that I shouted out in check that out. How cool is that? So One Planet Solar is going to get a second shout out. This is a Hydro Flask. This is the good, when we say the good swag, this is what we're talking about.
Yeah, like that's like the OG water bottle.
It is.
Before Stanley.
It's before Stanley. That's funny. So Connor Hogan, thank you for that. That's a second one that I've got now to show for. But the point of the swag contest is actually to say, like, it's fun. Everybody has swag, but oftentimes people sort of stumble into swag. Like they just waste money on swag, and it turns into stuff that gets dumped in the trash immediately. So my goal with the swag contest is to encourage folks to make good swag, like the Burns McDonnell Nike running hat that I got last year. Thank you for that, Ben Varan. So speaking of We have our first guest today. Our first guest is Ben Kuisle, Director of Energy Storage at Burns McDonnell, here to share how the storage market is evolving in a post-OB3 world. Ben, welcome to the stage.
Welcome.
Oh, look at that. And right on time. Swag. Let's see what this is. Now we gotta open this up because I think this is gonna be, look at that.
Ooh.
This is a charger. I think this is gonna be something that my illustrious co-host gets to walk away with.
Oh, I love that. Perfect.
Fantastic. This actually you are currently winning the bribe the host game of the swag contest. Well done. We're gonna do this right here so the camera can see it. Well, it's not even in the camera. There you go. There you go. Thank you.
Excellent.
Welcome to the stage.
Thank you very much. Excited to be here.
Indeed. Ben, let's start with OB3. There's been a lot of anxiety across the industry, especially the wind side of the industry, but solar, wind, you guys do a lot of batteries as well. The storage credits, for the most part, stayed intact almost entirely. How has OB3 really impacted the storage market from your lens?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at it, there's definitely been an impact to solar and wind.
Yeah.
I think there are some silver linings for us in the fact that, one, the storage credits are pretty much unimpacted at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it moves us into a little bit of a new era, right? To where as we start to look at what the future of our projects look like, right? I think maybe one of the bad things is if things don't change, right, and tax credits start to move away, right, the cost of power is likely probably going up, right?
doubt.
And so that's not good for our consumers, but it might be the reality of the world we're in today.
Right.
I think that also leads us into maybe another means of, maybe there's clients that are specific to solar or specific to wind. And we start to look at those folks, go back to those projects and retrofit them with battery storage, right? So it kind of creates a new application of what that might look like. And I think moving forward into kind of new build side of things, they're looking at things like, okay, what's the value of my asset? If I go in now, those folks that were traditionally only solar, right? I think almost everything we've seen has implicitly been, hey, let's do combined solar plus storage now.
Right.
Yeah, and it's something that, like Jigar Shah was just talking about, that like we're having this trend of storage plus solar instead of the traditional solar plus storage that we have seen before. And definitely, like, policy is part of the conversation, but is not all of it.
That's right.
So what are you seeing in terms of what is driving the growth for solar storage or renewables in general beyond what's happening right now with OB3?
Sure. I think if we were to go back and look at kind of our crystal ball of last year, right? We were trying to predict that we thought we saw a growth going into the solar plus storage market. I think at the end of the day, that crystal ball was maybe a little bit murky, or maybe we just didn't know what the time frame was going to be for what that crystal ball was telling us.
Yes.
And so I think as we move into the next couple of years, we'll see it. But really, as we look at kind of where battery storage is, there is a whole new market sector out there, right? There was a gentleman up here earlier talking about data centers and the application. And right now, right, that is just on the cusp of what's going to be available for those data centers. And, I think as we look at what the challenges are with the load profile, as we look at what it takes to deploy these, right, speed to market, we know is one of the critical assets of being able to be successful in the data center market.
Yep.
And so the ability right now is solar and storage right now still remain to be the fastest deployable asset out there, right, in comparison to what gas market's going to be.
Totally.
And so I think that is a huge catalyst for what storage can bring, not only in what the traditional plants were, but now we're looking at a whole new market sector.
It seems clear that the BESS market is coming of age, right? You guys have been committed to expanding your services into batteries very heavily over the last few years as a company that has been involved in infrastructure development for a very long time, and bringing these, I would say, critical infrastructure needs to market. How are your teams adapting to the challenges that you're facing around just getting these projects across the finish line? In particular, costs are not what they were, and it's a constant question, and just getting the right boots on the ground to get these projects across the finish line.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think we started doing EPC projects in battery storage back in like 2018.
Yeah.
And it was right on the cusp of when the market was coming to light. And I think the form factors, right? It seemed like every project we did, it had a different form factor, right? It was a different technology. They changed it from the last version. Maybe some of the O&M manuals weren't fully baked, right? It was very immature at that time. Yeah. And I think over the years, we have really started to see the consistency start to build, right? If you walk these trade floors now, right, almost all the OEMs, right, are a OEM-based container with batteries already in it, and they come prepackaged to site, right? And you start to deploy that consistency. You start to move into the realm of that maturing solar side of things where things are so much more consistent, right? That helps on cost effectiveness, right? It gives clients confidence in delivery to know, okay, I know there's no surprises out there. This is a well thought out product. It's a well thought out execution team, and I know I can go sign up for this with my PPA. And so I think all of those things, right, start to bring in the, the safety aspect of it, right, to where now we are deploying confidence, safety, cost effectiveness, and really starting to see the market grow up in front of our eyes.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was having a conversation earlier where it does still seem that while everything is now sort of standardized around some form factor of lithium, battery projects still feel a little bit like a science project. Like each one looks different from the neighbor. And as we begin to standardize, we'll be able to move a whole lot faster. I really appreciate the perspective. I mean, you guys are one of the top 5 EPCs in the marketplace, and it's really helpful to get a sense of where the storage market from a constructor's perspective is going. If folks want to dig deeper with the BurnsMag team, where are you guys able to be found this week here on the show?
Yeah, so we don't actually have a booth out there, but you'll see us walking around. Ben and I are here. Feel free to come up to me after the show.
Yep.
You can reach out to us online, but we've got a big crew here, so you'll find us.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
And we'll link to you guys on the show notes as well, how to connect with Ben and the team to connect with you guys.
Perfect.
Well, thanks for joining us on the stage, Ben Kuisle.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
So, up next, we've got Kevin Lee. He's head and AVP at TeraHive, a company rethinking how we deploy clean energy and EV charging with smarter software and storage. So, Kevin, welcome to the stage.
I'll make this slight correction because those are my bad notes. Kevin Lin.
Kevin Lin. Here's swag.
Oh, look at this.
That's neat.
I love these multi-tools. And I lost mine, Kevin. I don't know how you know that, but I've lost mine. So this was going to Shay Johnson.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I want to take a moment and say thank you as well to our daily roundup sponsor, Honda. Thank you, Honda, for helping make the daily roundup possible. Kevin, welcome to the stage. I've been looking forward to this conversation as well. You guys have quite a different perspective on the battery market.
Yeah, so just to get started, let's start with the big picture. So what are the bottlenecks that you're seeing that are keeping us from scaling clean energy, particularly on the EV side? It seems like EV adoption accelerates faster than the infrastructure itself.
Yes.
So what are the challenges around that?
I think that one of the biggest challenge that we're seeing is also some of the frequently asked question is the infrastructure, especially when it comes to the grid, right? Whether we're talking about solar, fuel cell, or EV charging, the pace of adaptation is surpassing our ability to upgrade and expanding our grid to support those solutions, right? So those upgrades usually takes years and cost millions of dollars, which is slow everything down. And then taking EV charging as an example, right? Demanding has grown very, very fast, but deployment of charging station is often delayed due to the infrastructure, especially with the power capacity issue from the grid. That is the exact problem that we are solving at TeraHive. Our battery boost charging solution use on-site energy storage that with smart software to bypass those bottlenecks. We can get the site to deploy in months instead of a year, and then to reduce the upfront costs up to 50%. Right? In my opinion, while the policy and technology is heading the right direction, we need more of those solutions that is able to resolve the bottleneck instead of waiting to be clear.
Yeah. Kevin, I think that storage plus smart software certainly helps to cut years off deployment timeline, something that we're all aware that we need in the face of the current demand surge, the load growth we're seeing in the United States and elsewhere. But it still is the kind of technology that once it's in place, customers have to manage it. And energy management software has traditionally been sort of complex and has a reputation for being intimidating. How is it being made simpler and more intuitive for customers?
Okay, and that is exactly the problem that we're set to resolve with TeraHive. with our AI EMS agent, right? Think of it as an AI personal assistant for energy. With the birth of ChatGPT from a couple years ago, the way that we interact with data and synthesize from it, it has changed rapidly and greatly as well, right? And that also including EMS. With our AI EMS agent, instead of navigating dashboard, digging through setting, user can actually have natural conversation with it. You can ask it to configure devices, generate report, even optimize energy usage, all in plain language, right? It takes something to use to be very technical and challenging, intimidating, but make it feel like as simple as testing a friend, right? At TeraHive, it's all about making the energy management feel accessible and not overwhelmed.
Yeah, so it seems like there's still like a lot of opportunity to improve and to innovate, particularly on the software side.
Yes.
So microgrids, when I think about it, I think about hardware. Like it's very hardware heavy.
Yes.
So it seems like there is this niche on the software side. So could you tell us a bit more about that?
Well, traditionally, microgrid solutions have been very hardware-centric, right? Lots of infrastructure, upfront costs, offer very vendor lock-in, right? And that makes it hard for organization, company to scale or to adapt as their energy usage evolve. At TeraHive, we are flipping this model through a software-led approach. Our platform can integrate with the existing hardware assets. And then so the customer doesn't have to flip and rip places and then to do an upgrade, right? It's modular hardware agnostic and designed to scale with flexibility with the DR growth as well. That means faster deployment, lower costs, and no lock-in, which exactly the customer are constantly asking for: simple, flexibility, future-ready, and then more importantly, they can be deployed in months rather than years using the existing equipment.
This is awesome. Like it seems like there's a lot of opportunity there on the microgrid side. I'm excited to see what else you're bringing to the table. So where can we find more information on TeraHive?
Well, you can visit us at our booth over there and also go to our website, TeraHive.io.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Kevin.
I appreciate
you taking the time.
Thank you.
So next up, we are going to subject ourselves to the possibility of professional ruin.
I was gonna say like public humiliation, but that's also another way to frame it.
I thought it would be fun to bring up someone we collaborated with last year who is beginning to make a name for himself, not the least of which for his beautiful purple beard. Derek Solarboi Mast, why don't you come up on the stage? Derek approached me and he said, "Hey, wouldn't it be fun if we do something that felt like for fun, like a game?" So with very, very, very little information beforehand, we are ready for your games, Derek. Bring it. I hope that it's at least TikTok worthy.
Yeah, well, we hope so. And I appreciate you having me on, Nico. If my mic gets cut, then I've flown too far, too close to the sun.
Like this is the sign?
Yeah, that's right.
So this year has posed a lot of challenges, impossible decisions with difficult options. So in the spirit of that theme, the game we will be playing this week during the daily roundups is... Drumroll, please.
Yeah.
You all are boring. Yes, thank you. Would you rather? A game of strange situations to reveal the heart of the player where we will not judge them for the choice that they make because the choices are all terrible. Nico and Sylvia will be posed two options, and they must pick one of them and give their reasons for why they think it's the least bad option.
Okay.
They can ask clarifying questions to make it better for themselves, but let's be honest, we're still putting lipstick on a pig. And not only will I get to pose them silly questions, but Nico, do you know what that QR code is up there?
Do I know what it is?
Yeah. Did you approve that to this QR code right here?
I don't.
You don't know what that is?
I was not involved in putting a QR code on there.
Oh. So you as an audience can also participate in this come Thursday. We will be picking an audience-suggested Would You Rather for the hosts to play. And if you're picked, I will send you some swag as long as it's in the United States. I don't know how to ship internationally. Don't
ask.
So scan the QR code on the screen to participate.
If they're in the crowd, they can scan it. If you're on SunCast.live, you should also be able to scan it at some point because we'll be moving back to a different camera.
Yeah, or go to solarboi with an I, not a Y, solarboi.com/WYR. Anyway.
Perfect.
That's
a little plug for your website. I like that.
You know, I got to do what I got to do.
Creator's got to be a creator.
That's right. That all out of the way, Nico and Sylvia. Your first Would You Rather of the week.
Okay.
Would you rather answer the statement, but solar only produces during the daytime in every conversation for the rest of your life? Or answer the statement, why aren't we installing solar on parking lots instead of farmland in every conversation for the rest of your life?
I think I'll take the parking lots.
I prefer the parking lot one.
Yeah.
So every conversation you have with someone, it will come up from the other person.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you will be...
So I have to basically say, the argument is, why are we in fact putting it on farmland? That's a bad thing, and we should be putting it on parking lots instead.
Well, and the assumption is that we aren't installing solar on parking lots. And so you have to explain to them that
in fact we've installed terawatts of
exactly
of solar on parking lots. Interesting. And the other one again was?
The other one was, but solar only produces during the daytime.
But solar,
as like a rebuttal of like, we can't install solar. Like solar's not reliable. It only produces during the daytime. Sort of ignoring the batteries exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I take it back. I'm going to take that one.
Okay. So why are you feeling that?
Because I think that it's so much easier to defend the reality that solar plus batteries and hybridized systems are already producing over 70% capacity factor. Like, I had Martin Herman on the podcast from Bright Night, and he's got a contract already in, I think, New Mexico for 76% capacity factor, right? And I just think the data exists to debunk that. And I would proudly die on that hill and not have to talk about parking lots ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can feel that. How about you, Sylvia? What are you feeling?
No, I feel I'm gonna stick with it. It's just like I kind of agree with that, like with that argument. Like, why we're seeing more?
Well,
I know that there are like a lot of technical challenges around it, obviously, but it's like it's a new space. Like you can make the most out of your parking lot. Like not all, but many commercial facilities have a parking lot, so why not install solar? Like,
oh yeah, no, I mean, in an ideal situation, obviously we'd install over any parking lot we possibly could. They'd be super rad, shade for everybody, and power for cars, and all that jazz.
Yeah,
but solar saves farms.
Yeah, it's true. Solar is good for farmers as well.
But everyone can be happy. Like, why it has to be one or the other?
Exactly.
Because Derek,
that's the assumption in the question, is that the person is leaving out context. So, that's why it's annoying. And,
but I think
I appreciate the annoying sort of under the skin, dirt under the nails question.
Yeah, and tomorrow it will get worse.
Oh, perfect.
So
every day,
come back.
progressively.
Yes. Well, I assume that Thursday I will have a ton of audience suggestions.
Sweet.
Please scan the QR code, submit a question. Would love to hear what you guys have in store. But so I love that you guys both landed on different questions or on different answers here. So I love that.
I do too. Derek, thank you for joining us. Derek Mast, everybody should go look up at solarboi on all the socials.
So please let's welcome Nick Sangermano, president of GS Power Partners, here to share why distributed generation is having a moment and what investors are watching most closely. So Nick, welcome to the stage.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
Nice, yeah.
I'm really excited too. Like, I cover utility scale solar. So DG is like, I know about it, but not that much. So really looking
so now the
forward
little
to
brother gets to move their way up to play in the big leagues.
We're gonna give her some lessons.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Okay, so Nick, I mentioned in the intro, like it seems like DG is having this moment. So what's driving that momentum right now?
DG is having a moment. I can't tell you it's going to be forever, but I can tell
Make
you
the most out of it, at least right now.
It's in the moment. And look, I think it's a long time overdue. There's a lot of practical reasons why DG, can be, should be part of the equation. I think, look, if you look at it, well, what do you have with DG? Historically, I've been doing power for 20 years, 25 years, solar, 18 of that. DG last 10 probably. So you can see an evolution, but it's always been sort of a small portion. And so what do we always hear, right?
Yep.
Love the revenue story, love the diversification story, and it kind of ends there. And now what's happening is you're getting this this aspect of velocity, this idea that you can execute in the windows of uncertainty, the greater the uncertainty.
Yeah.
It's funny, the last time this kind of happened was previous Trump administration, when there was some disruption at that point. People were also looking a little bit more. That was actually kind of a heyday for DG as well. And I think, look, at the end of the day, you got the velocity aspect.
Yep.
And also some people, people in DG, some people run businesses better than others, I think, just to be honest with the segment. So now the question we're getting is like, what's your SG&A look like? How do you, what's your leadership team? There's a lot more scrutiny on it.
Yeah.
And so people are more serious, and I think, maybe last few years, it's been a bit more of a gold rush.
Yeah.
People kind of moving in quick, a lot of new companies starting now. There's a bit more of the sense that there's a segment here. And let's face it, you're hearing about these stories of renewables are ugly or whatever. We don't get that much in DG.
No.
Right? It's 40 acres, 50 acres. We can, come in, make a difference. Generally, the local communities generally like it.
Yeah.
Utilities generally, even the most resistant utilities are kind of grudgingly, sure. And so, it's a lot of things kind of converging on a spot.
Yeah, it's really interesting because not only is there traction in the market, I've been covering this on the podcast since January. I know you're good friends with Jorge at Aspen and our friends over at Encore, both of whom raised a ton of money, over $300 million each. Yeah. I think you guys, you should brag about yourself a little, because GS Power is one of those quiet gorillas in the marketplace. But I really want to hear that. Why do you think Wall Street is paying attention now? Nick, you and I have been doing DG since the aughts.
Yeah, right.
And I've never quite seen the level of investment, and I would say flight to quality, as we see right now in rooftop in particular, but DG, distributed generation. Congratulations, you've been out raising capital. I know you've had some success with that. What do you think is driving this investor, I don't know if it's frenzy yet, but attention for sure right now?
Yeah, look, there's no sort of universal answer, but I think what it comes down to is there's people have changed the lens, the way they think about the business. I think they've gone through this. There's a Simpsons episode I love, which shows Homer going through the 5 stages of grief or whatever.
Yeah.
And then coming, there's a Simpsons about everything, but and then coming into acceptance. And I think people have kind of changed. They've come through that transition. Negative energy is wasted energy, right? So, and people have leaned in. And I think if you were to look at it, talk about Wall Street, I think if you asked Wall Street people, or 6-7 years ago, I'm a long time banker, a long time, developer. But if 2018 time frame, 2019, if you had told people this is where we'd be today, they'd be pretty pleased.
Yeah, that's right.
You got an excellent demand environment, for us. Supply is good, in the dynamics. There's definitely a place for what we do. You look at the scale, we actually matter now.
Right.
And then on top of that, you've got the speed to action. So those factors are fantastic. And so Wall Street's just following the money. They're looking and saying, this makes sense. That's practical. If anything, look, this about me. I'm a bit of a kind of pretty straight about how I feel about it. Maybe the IRA had some unintended consequences.
Right.
Brought a little too much capital in, maybe a little too much heat, a little bit too much political polarization. Now that things have kind of changed, there's a flight to quality. It's it does make sense. There's no question. So, and they know about DG, just as you are, sir. Solar is you got to be scrappy to be in solar.
Yeah.
You got to be scrappy. It's I'm going to steal. Can I steal a quote from it? It's passion is not enough.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally.
Passion's great, but you need more than passion. You need skill. You need tenacity. And
that's right.
Solar's been that chip on its shoulder, especially DG solar, and even the most I think for a number of years now, even the most detracting naysayers of DG Solar have grudgingly shown respect.
It's true.
Can't get rid of you guys. All you do is you just work it, and you do a lot with a little, and you kind of produce. And so I think Wall Street sees that.
And the industry needs them. So it's there is this need, so it's inevitable for investors to come.
Yeah, and they see people have been around a long time. A lot of DG platforms have been around for a while. It's obviously been a lot of new entrants also. And now I think that, that they see there's going to be winners. We'd like to think we're going to be part of those winners, but, we'll see how it progresses.
Yeah.
Actually, I was going to ask about that. DG, as you mentioned, as an industry, has all this tenacity and has been growing over the past few years. But what does it take from the discipline, the leadership perspective for a company to stand out for the investors?
Yeah. That's well, I wish I had the perfect answer on that. I'd be done closing a lot of money. Well, here's what we've been hearing. People want to know that you've got all the things that, you've picked target markets, you're focused, all those good things. But they really want to know that you can execute.
Yeah.
So you can manufacture projects. Well done is better than well said. I think it's starting to become a real thing. Yeah. And you're just seeing people, I think we joke around like what rank is going to be that question on your corporate efficiency. There's a real difference right now between teams. So we talked to a competitor, and they had double our headcount, double our and they were similar size to us. We've seen other teams that have been a little bit smaller than us. So can you run a company well? Yeah. For us, we're pretty straightforward. We just need people's capital. We are to sort of joke internally. Our mantra is
only that. We only need
just like stay out of our sunshine and a little luck, and like we'll take care of the rest.
Right.
Right. Like we'll take care of the rest.
Yeah. Well, the good news is you've got a lot of credibility, a lot of track record doing that. Yeah. It's clear that while DG as a category is having a moment, GS Power Partners is as well, and clearly proving that distributed generation belongs at the center of the clean energy conversation. Nick Sangermano, thanks for joining us on the stage.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you both. Yeah.
Well, last but certainly not least, as we round out our daily roundup, I want to say thank you once again to our presenting sponsor, Honda, and welcome Ryan Harty, the director of Honda's Energy Solution Business Division, where he's leading their 000 vision for carbon neutrality, clean energy, and circularity. Honda's working with utilities like SoCal Edison. We had Chanel Parson on this morning to talk, Excellent. And I know you guys spent some time on the electric drive stage today. You guys are doing test vehicle integration for vehicle to grid. How do you see the partnerships like what you're doing with SoCal Edison helping the grid as EV adoption accelerates?
That's a really interesting and important question, but we should look at it from a really big level, for example. So all of the auto companies combined are going to add about 200 gigawatt hours of energy storage capacity in this year, right? So the entire U.S. Energy storage market typically is 40 to 50 gigawatt hours a year.
Wow.
So autos, cars themselves are the lion's share of the energy storage.
That's right. Yep.
So if we look at this as an opportunity to both improve the value of electric vehicles to the buyers, to our customers, as well as improve the utility of the electric vehicle to the electric grid as an asset for managing the grid, for absorbing the mitigations, permutations of renewable energy, making use of that energy storage in vehicles. It's not just an opportunity for Honda and our vehicle customer, but for the utility and society as a whole.
Yeah.
So working hand in hand with Southern California Edison is key to making that happen, because it's our same customer, right?
Yes.
The electricity paying customer who buys the vehicle, uses the vehicle. It's the same customer, and so important to work together to make that happen.
Yeah, definitely. And all of the customers also have a home.
Yes.
Like if you have the car, which is going to be connected to the grid connected to the home. So how did you make them speak all the same language? Like we saw at your booth, the home energy ecosystems that you're developing.
Yes.
So solar, storage, energy management, bidirectional charging all together, right? So how does this help customers simplify clean energy at home?
Making your electric vehicle a key part of your home energy ecosystem. On the one hand, you're talking a lot of jargon, right? V2G, V2X, and customer's head is spinning.
Yep.
But finally, customer doesn't really care what it is. They care what it does for them.
Yep.
It can save them money on a daily basis by helping them to manage their energy use, right? It's going to make the best use of their home solar that's on their home. The energy management can help decide to charge the car so that they can use the energy later in the evening. It can decide to make hot water in a heat pump hot water heater so that that energy can be used later. Honda has a deep history of home energy management research and development. Honda Smart Home at UC Davis demonstrated with real people over 10 years how to implement these in cost-effective customer set it and forget it ways that are easy for our customer to adopt.
Yeah. Ryan, I have one more question because I'm still fascinated around the, here in the U.S., in the IRA, there was a lot of focus on hydrogen hubs. I remember even as far back as 2020, I did a whole series on green hydrogen. Yet the zeitgeist at the moment around hydrogen is coming for the most part out of Japanese auto manufacturers. Honda as a leader in that. But hydrogen has not always been particularly consumer friendly. I'm curious to hear how Honda's overcoming the hurdles to adoption and deployment, specifically to hydrogen and not EV.
Sure. Well, we are showing off an electric vehicle powered by hydrogen at our booth in RE+.
Wait, a hybrid electric hydrogen.
Hybrid electric hydrogen fueled vehicle.
Has anyone else done that? I don't know. I genuinely I'm not aware.
I don't know. Ours is the only one that's in the market now. That's a plug-in hybrid. Hydrogen fuel cell vehicle. It's available in California to retail customers. But part of the idea of hydrogen, it's really about the success of renewable energy. So if you think about, like, if we want to power everything with renewable energy, the problem is not powering it when the sun is shining, when the wind is blowing. It's what you actually, the biggest problem is what you do with the excess and the surplus. And you need a way of storing massive quantities of renewable energy for monthly, even a yearly cycle, and to be able to offset, say, petrochemicals and natural gas usage for fertilizer production and other things. And that's really what hydrogen represents to Honda. And for Asian countries like Japan and Korea, it really represents a paradigm shift of energy utilization and storage, and what can be a fundamental resource. So we're showing that off not just in the transportation with the fuel cell vehicle, but also as a stationary power generation device. And so you can see a demonstration at our booth about that. But if you think about, say, storage batteries versus hydrogen, there's a crossover at maybe 30 to 40 hours of storage, where if you need energy storage beyond that for long duration storage, hydrogen's cheaper than battery. And so, we have data center companies who are coming to us and saying, we really need a 96-hour backup power solution. What do you have for us? And it can't be diesel fuel because air quality and CO2. So what do you got for us?
4 days of power backup.
4 days of power backup.
That is true long duration energy storage.
Long duration with hydrogen fuel cell to back up the data center. And so that's part of our core mission here. We want to show that technology off. Bring customers, expand our ecosystem. If you want to be an installation partner or a utility or a customer of this, come by our booth and say hi.
That is fascinating. I mean, that might be one of the most surprising things I've heard this week, to be honest. So far, you have the most.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, the most diverse answer set of the day. If you're interested, you can go check out Honda's booth at 8659 across the RE Plus bridge over in the Venetian. 8659. It's right across from Chint Power Systems, our friends over at Chint Power. Thank you so much, Ryan.
Absolutely welcome.
Not only, I was actually genuinely pleasantly surprised when they said, Honda's going to partner with us for the daily roundup. And everybody in our group was just like, wait, Honda, what are they going to be doing here? So I was super excited to have you on today.
Now we know.
Yeah, now we know.
And we're showing off at our booth like the very first bidirectional power vehicle from Honda, Acura RSX, as well as our bidirectional EV charger concept.
Amazing.
So come by, have a look at it, and go to our website and check it out.
Fantastic. Go by and check out Honda over in the Venetian. Ryan, Harty, thank you for joining us on the Daily Roundup.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome.